Good night. It's the 30th of December 2023, and I just want to get back to the subject of electric cars because there's so much about it. Now, one of the things I did when I meet people out and about and to try and find out the word on the street is to ask people who have them. And what I find is that there is a reluctance by people who have bought new ones to talk about them a bit. Some will and some won't. But the big question always has to be asked about people of full EVs, full electric cars, not hybrids, is do you own it? Did you buy it? Because I found out that an awful lot of people who drive full electric cars, Tesla, etc., and all these and Volkswagens, actually have them because they're part of the company's policy. So you'll get a commercial traveller driving one or whatever, that's part of his job. As far as I'm concerned, that's irrelevant. What we're looking at here is private people putting their own money into an EV. If companies like Guinness's and Carol's Tobacco or anyone else or Pat the Baker wants to send their commercial travellers round with EVs, that's their problem. I couldn't care less. The only issue then is the fire hazard. But one of the things I'm finding is that the few people I do know, the Nissan Leaf has no coolant in the battery, whereas an awful lot of the other ones have. That means that the risks of thermal runaway are bigger. There's no coolant put through the battery cells in a Nissan Leaf, and someone who I know who had a Nissan Leaf, never, ever, ever again. And I don't want to do down the Nissan Leaf any more than anything else. The same is coming up with the Tesla. I did a video on the Tesla, battery gone, fierce money to get it fixed. Okay, now what I am finding is that people who have hybrids, usually all 2-year-old hybrids, are a bit more enthusiastic and tend to say they're good. Now, on the face of it, it makes a lot of sense to gather up the energy from braking and going down a hill and all that, and store it for when you're going up the hill. I mean, there was various ideas using flywheels for that long ago. And in an ordinary diesel or petrol car, that energy is lost. When you put the brakes on to slow you down coming down a hill, that energy's gone. Whereas with the chargeable hybrid, well, it's there for use. Precisely how good it is, I don't know. But I did talk to a person who has a Toyota. It's a Toyota C. It's C/HR. And it's a small little car, and as he says himself, it's really a 2-seater. You'd fit a couple of kids in the back, but there's very little room in the back. He says he's getting 70 kilometres to the gallon of petrol, and you have to remember, don't get confused with kilometres and miles. It's funny how there's always a change of the measuring system. 70 kilometres is not 70 miles. I'm sure most people understand that. But they're getting slightly better mileage. It may be good and it may not. There's a bit more contentment with the hybrids. Although I know someone who bought a brand new Toyota RAV, which is a good car in a diesel, and never again either. A 2.5 litre petrol engine in any car, whether it's hybrid or anything, is a disaster. You might as well put a tractor engine in it. It's an absolute disaster. If you have to go up in horsepower or capacity for your engine to have your hybrid, as far as I'm concerned, that's just defeating the whole cause of it. Now, regarding the fires, there's a chap there come on, and when I made one about the fire in Newbridge at McDonald's, he said, I'm very disappointed that you go off at half-cocked like that. Well, I challenged the chap and challenge you all. Tell me the number of that car. The model of it obviously is a Mercedes. I have looked at several. There is a hybrid of that model. They came in later, more recently. There was a time when there was none. So I think about back 2013, there was no hybrid. But there's nothing to indicate what year that Mercedes was made. There is nothing to indicate. I have checked the ones that are hybrids. There's a little petrol tank on the side at the back of them, and you'll very soon know the difference. I claim I made inquiries. I got a person big in the industry who trades cars all over the country to inquire as a special favour, and the word came back was that the car that went on fire at McDonald's is a Mercedes and he gave me the number. I think it's 200 or something. I'm not big on that. Anyway, whatever it is, it's a saloon car, and it is a hybrid, and the battery is under the passenger seat. And it's under the passenger seat the flames came out. Right. Now, I have sent emails to the fire service in Kildare in the Newbridge area. And I have sent emails to Jervis Street, where there was a fire in Jervis Street car park. I got no reply. When you go into all the videos online, one of the things you will notice, there's so many cameras around that we see the initial fire taking place. Sometimes they just go out of the blue. They're being charged or they're parked or whatever. And they usually bring a few cars beside them with them, and sometimes the whole building. But the key point about them is, if they get a little time, if they get into the early morning up to 12 o'clock, there'll be a cover on them. And I'm now beginning to suspect that all garages selling EVs, whether hybrids or full, are supplied with a big cover, a big blue tarpaulin. Now, maybe all garages were done that before, I don't know. But funny enough, once they get into the 12-hour period or into daylight, they seem to all have a cover waiting and ready to stop prying eyes looking in. I wouldn't be at all surprised, knowing the nature of the Irish Green Party and the Green Energy Minister and all that. These people are killers. They are out to kill. And they would not mind 50,000 lives if their green credentials and their green obsession is seen to. You can see that they're against the car. Anywhere they can take away car parking spaces, they do. But you see that this EV is almost certainly nothing more than another way to get rid of the car. Okay, will it work or will it not? To my own way of thinking, with the exception maybe of the hybrid in very small vehicles, mixed bag, people can do what they wish, at least you can get home. With an ordinary car, you put in 5 litres of petrol or 5 litres of diesel, which is refined crude oil, and you can go a certain distance. And if you can get a bit more to buy there or bring a bit with you, you can get home again. With an electric car, you burn coal, oil and gas, and about 3% wind and solar, if even that. Mostly coal, oil and gas. You send it down through the wires, losing 7%. You charge up the car, and that is even wasteful too. And as the battery gets older, it retains less and less of the initial energy that was burnt in the power station. Finally, you set off in your car to reuse the energy that was made in a power station. Why not just burn the petrol and diesel immediately in the tank? That is the whole point. It's all a hell of a scam, with the possible exception of the hybrid. I'm just not prepared to go the whole hog there, but definitely it's a scam with the main cars. Now, this comes forward because the trouble they have with the EVs is that people have to dip into their own pocket and buy them. And if they're well-to-do people and they keep doing this, they won't be well-to-do very long. So the problem they have is that the ordinary people have to pay for them. And the other problem is that the subsidies cannot go on forever. The subsidies in America is something like $7,000, and it confines them to American cars. And now I'll look at an article here. I'll post this all underneath when I get the video uploaded. Car dealers tell Biden customers aren't ready for electric cars. In America, they won't touch them with barge poles. This is the 28th of November 2023. Nearly 4,000 car dealers are asking President Biden to tap the brakes, in other words, to stop the proposed emissions regulations designed to ensure that 2/3 of the car fleet are electric. There it's there. I'll make a link underneath. Are electric nearly now. So designed to ensure now customers just aren't interested. They say, and electric vehicles, EVs, are stacking up on their lots. They're stacking up on the lots. Why it matters? Neighbourhood car dealers claim to be the best barometers of consumer sentiment, and a group calling themselves EV Voice of the Consumer is sounding the alarm about the widening mismatch between the EV supply and customer demand. The salesmen in Ireland will run after you out the gate to try and sell you an EV because they can't get rid of them. Okay. Now here's an article I'm just reading off the net. You can find it yourself. Ford is postponing a 12 billion EV factory building, including planned battery factory in Kentucky. And where does all the battery components come from? China, of course. The reasons given were an unwillingness by consumers to pay extra for its vehicles. You see, they are too expensive. Now Ford's massive transformation into the EV company is now going to take a lot longer than before, and what I say is it will never happen. I read before that Mazda are not going electric. They're going to see what happens. Also, article here, Ford will cut planned electric F-150 production as demand slows. I said about Mazda, had to take a phone call there. I said about Mazda, they're not making any. Now, we're going to see what Toyota's up to. So there's an article here from Electric, which is pro-electric car. Why is Toyota so anti-EV? It lost the race to compete, says Tesla and EV Council. Well, now Tesla's not doing so well either. They're all getting tough. There's a huge problem with insurance. People will come in here, oh, I'm disappointed with you, Val, and all this. They're going on fire all over the place. They're a highly dangerous thing. They put two ships, sunk one ship and almost sank another and caused the deaths of people. The death rate, nobody knows. A man died from a crash in Wexford. There's I'll post a link here. There's hidden information about them. I accuse the Green Party in Ireland and other governments of covering up the truth. They don't want it to get out. And the thing about it is, the buyer is on their own. The buyer is on their own. They're like the hula hoop longo. They'll go through a phase, and that phase will eventually fizzle out. Nobody wants them. Nobody is bothered with them. You'll see the links underneath. As I say, I think there's a conspiracy to cover up the fire hazard. It's due to the government, who are basically do good most of the time, but sometimes they kill people. So my advice to anyone considering having anything to do with one is think very carefully, ask around, and see what the word on the street is. There's so many videos there. You could be watching them for a month, and there are very few of them complimentary. And you have to watch that a lot of them are just advertising. You don't know the facts. You'll not get far. In this cold weather, you won't get far at all. If the battery goes and it's out of warranty, tough luck. And it's gone to the stage now where people will have to learn the hard way. And I have no sympathy for those from now on that get caught. They deserve to be caught. It's just another silly green scam. Oh, we'll build windmills. Oh, we'll go to net zero. Oh, we'll do this and that. All falling asunder. Every bit of it is a scam. Every bit of it is falling asunder. And the German economy has been stomached by it. And there's a race on throughout Europe to get fuel. After all this net zero, the whole thing is a scam. If you count it properly, you'll realize and accurately that that's exactly what it is. It's just a mad idiot, Eamon Ryan and his Green Party and politicians. And whenever did politicians accurately do anything? Look at them trying to build a children's hospital in Dublin. What more evidence do you need? All they're able to do is ban, try to take the cars of people. I never had more freedom than when I got my first car, and it's provided me with freedom throughout my life. It's provided my family, my friends, with the ability to lead lives, good lives, instead of riding bikes and following horses up and down the road. And it's tractors, etc., has let me run my farm without having to harness horses and all of that. That is what they want, and that is what they think's available, and that's what a lot of the muggos are voting for. There'll always be 30% that will vote for this, but this is going to put the skids under them. There's tough times coming ahead with economies and everything else, and anyone who buys a fire hazard, which has its own oxidizer, it'll burn underwater, is not right in the head, particularly a full electric car. Thank you.